你好，我叫林青思，我今年21岁，我在明尼苏达大学3年级。我出生在圣克劳德，有2个姐姐，1个哥哥。我开始小学的时候，我的父母放我在麦迪逊小学中文班。Most of you have no idea what I said. You might be feeling confused and surprised. You might want to ask questions. This different language could draw you in and pique your interest. It might also make you want to get up and leave, especially if I kept talking to you in Chinese. I am with this last group. This is how I felt in the beginning of my immersion program, too. To translate what I said in the beginning, hi everyone. My name is Grace Leapaldt. I am 21 years old, and I am in my 3rd year at the University of Minnesota. I was born in St. Cloud, and I have 2 older sisters and 1 older brother. When I was going into elementary school, my parents decided to put me in Madison Elementary's Chinese Immersion program offered in the St. Cloud area school district. The first couple days of 1st grade in the immersion program are pretty blurry, considering it was so long ago. However, I can clearly remember the confusion and fear I began to feel when I realized that I had no idea what my teacher was saying. You see, when you are in an immersion program, you are truly immersed. Everything is spoken in the immersion language, and you are also surrounded by the culture. No English. Hour after hour of my teacher speaking to me in a language I did not yet understand. So I, as many of you might have felt in the beginning of this talk, wanted to leave. I wanted out, and I wanted out now. What am I going to learn from this? What's the point? Nobody else in my life speaks this language. Why would I care? And with my blonde hair and blue eyes, wouldn't a European language be a better fit? I'm going to fall behind all of my non-immersion classmates, and I'll never catch up. I really struggled in the beginning of my immersion experience. I was put in the very first class offered for the Chinese Immersion program in St. Cloud. So my parents and I really had no idea what to expect. I came home complaining to my parents, as one does, begging them to put me in regular classes. I told my dad I had no idea what my teacher was saying, and I never would. I explained to him that she would say, 午餐, and it meant lunch. And then she would say, 上厕所, and it meant go to the bathroom. But when she would say 排队, I had no idea what she meant. And how was I ever going to learn if she wouldn't speak to us in English? But after she said it, we always got in line by the door. After I explained all of this to my dad, he had me repeat what I had said. After I did, I began to realize that I had been picking up small words and phrases. I was learning that the immersion program was working. I was stubborn, though, and pretended I still didn't get it. I couldn't give my dad that satisfaction. With support from my parents, I continued on in the program. And while I had misgivings, I actually started to enjoy school. We had yearly Chinese concerts for our parents. We had pen pals from China, and our teachers would even bring in Chinese food for us when we would celebrate Chinese holidays. Reading, writing, and speaking Chinese was becoming a part of who I was. However, once I reached middle school, about half of my class had dropped out. I knew my parents wanted me to stay in the program, but it was my decision now. Do I continue on in this foreign language, even though it made me different from my peers? And in middle school, that is not good. My answer was yes. How could I say no when I'd come this far? Plus, even though my parents said it was my decision, they would have killed me. As I was saying yes to this, I was saying no to mainstream education and conformance and continuing on in this adventure. I don't begrudge those who chose to drop out, but for me, sticking with it meant life-changing opportunities, finding my passion, and memories I will never forget. A real turning point for me came when I was able to travel to China my freshman year of high school. It was truly eye-opening. I was able to see all that I had been taught come together. I was able to use my skills to communicate with the people in China, knowing the language and different cultural cues. Being able to see in person everything that I had been studying and learning for years was truly a transformative experience for me. This was true immersion. I was now in a place where the Chinese language and culture was all around me all the time, and I flourished in it. This reaffirmed my decision to stay in the program, and I felt encouraged to continue my studies through high school and now in college. Learning typical subjects such as math, social studies, and geography were definitely a bit of a struggle in the beginning. We learned the same things at the same pace as everybody else, just in a different language. Converting what we had learned back into English wasn't too difficult, but it was definitely more of a challenge than the organic way. I can clearly remember the confusion and fear I began to feel when I was in my first normal English class. But by the end of it, my immersion classmates and I were in the top classes in almost every subject. I truly believe that learning 2 languages as a child allowed my brain to work differently. It allowed me to figure difficult situations and topics out in my own way. As I reflect on my academic journey, I realized that continuing on in the Chinese Immersion program meant saying yes to a challenging and exciting and, yes, fear-filled path. Yet it also meant saying no to the experiences of a more traditional academic path offers. My experience was vastly different of those of the kids in my neighborhood, church, and even my siblings and cousins. In many ways, I did not fit in outside of school. If I had the opportunity to do this all over again, I would do a few things differently. I would live in the moment more. I think we try to get through the uncomfortable and hard parts of life as fast as we can and try to avoid it. However, looking back, those moments are what led me to where I am today. I wish I would have thanked my parents more and wasn't so ashamed of being in the program. It was and will always be a gift in my life. Thanks, Mom and Dad. From this experience, I have gained a new perspective on life and the world. I understand the valuable differences from other cultures, languages, and places around the world. Yet I also know how similar everyone truly is deep down at our core. Saying yes is not always the easiest decision or the most instantly rewarding. Other than my 16 classmates, I really had no one to speak to in Chinese and to share what I was learning about the language and culture, even though my mom would annoyingly try and get me to speak Chinese to nearly every single person we met. Sorry, Mom. Saying yes to this program and opportunity truly changed my life for the better. I not only see China in a different light than I would have, but it opened me to seek a better understanding of the rest of the world as well. I am more open to challenges that make me uncomfortable. I was lucky enough to have my parents say yes for me in the beginning, taking me out of my comfort zone and putting me in such an amazing place to learn. I encourage everyone to immerse yourself in something new, even if you don't want to. One decision could change the entire course of your life for the better, and all it takes is one choice to put you on your path. It might be different, uncomfortable, and scary, but we only have one life in this world, so go with your gut and take that chance. In closing, I leave you with this Chinese proverb: 千里之行，始于足下. To translate, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. We should all be willing to take that step. 谢谢. Thank you.